Hello and welcome back to Over the Next Hill Fitness Podcast. I'm Carla Coffey, your coach and host for today's program. This episode is brought to you by Coffee Crew Coaching. If you need a personal coach for personal training or running or what have you, if you just need to get mobile, look me up. You can email me, carla@coffeecrewcoaching.com. You can find me in the show notes. There's a little button that you can push, and that will directly link you to me, and you can send over your inquiry, or if you have a question that you would like answered on the podcast, we can do that as well. If you have friends that need me as a coach, please share. Also, follow, share, and rate the program. That really helps me climb up the ladder a little bit. It's also brought to you by Hydro Patch. If you haven't tried Hydro Patch, you really need to. There's a 20% discount in the show notes that you can use to give it a try and see if you like it, especially with the warmer weather coming up here in all over the world, finally kind of getting out of winter. It's great to help keep you hydrated. You still need to drink, but it really helps in those hotter days. So today we're going to be talking to Beth Giles. We had a lot of fun recording this as well as after. Beth and I find that we have a lot of people in our circle together, so that was kind of fun to touch base upon that. But yeah, listen to the story, and I hope you enjoy it. Welcome to the show, Jamie. It's so great to have you here.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. I really appreciate being here.
Oh, great. So let's talk running. How did you get started running and when?
I was 38 when I started running. I was going to quit smoking. My daughter was a patient at St. Jude being treated for cancer. And of course, when you have a child with cancer, you don't want to be smoking. So instead of smoking, I would walk out the front door and just started running that way. I mostly was walking at the time. Okay. And then it just kind of evolved.
You wanted to walk faster and got faster and faster.
Would go a little bit faster.
Yeah. And then, so that just started with like blocks, I'm assuming, like around the block or whatever. And then how did you start doing distance?
Well, we lived pretty deep in the country when I started. So I would just go out. I would drive the route that I wanted to run so I could see how far it was. And then I would go check the time before I left and run it and come back and check the time. And I was just trying to beat that time. So it eventually evolved into running.
Wow. That's quite a way. But so now I'm assuming you have a watch.
Oh, yes. We were joking about that. I ran a leprechaun chase this morning, and we were joking about how when we started, we just went and bought a pair of shoes off the rack, and if they were pretty,
right.
It had to be pretty. And then there was no watches and maybe not music, or you put your iPod on,
right?
And you had the cords everywhere. But it was nowhere nearly as technical it is now. We didn't know anything about stability or pronation, anything like that. So we just bought pretty shoes and ran.
Yeah. You were probably physically healthier than for your feet because of just running natural with, whatever shoes instead of buying all the, falling for all the stuff that they say now. Oh, you need these because of this. And
right. I think I want to go back to just buying pretty shoes again.
Yeah.
I haven't had any luck picking shoes lately.
Really? Yeah. A friend of mine runs in Crocs, and I've heard that, they're really good for your feet because they allow you just like natural, like moccasins, basically, right? And you're so much healthier that way. Yeah.
Well, I was at Planet Fitness the other day, and I saw a woman on the stair stepper in her stocking feet. So you might be onto something there.
Yeah. Yeah. I think it's really huge getting back to just natural footwear. So when was your first race and what was the distance?
The first race I did was the St. Jude Memphis half marathon. And my friend and I, we walked it. It was in 2007. And we trained. We didn't have a training plan. We just, every night we went and we walked the same distance. And we heard through the grapevine that if you could go half the distance, that you would be able to finish it. So we did like 6.5 miles a couple times, but it wasn't any crazy training plan.
And was that true? Since you did half, you finished it okay?
Oh, we finished fine. We were very stiff at the end,
Yeah.
but but
Yeah.
we finished it.
Yeah. And but you walked it all.
Yeah, we walked it all. Then the next year in 2008, I decided I would run the marathon. So I did the
Oh,
St. Jude, the full in Memphis.
wow. So you did no 5Ks, no 10Ks, went straight to the half and then straight to a marathon.
I did.
So see, that kind of craziness really proves that you're supposed to be with runners.
Yeah, exactly. There's nobody like runners.
This is the truth. So is that where you live, is in Memphis?
No, we lived at the time we lived in Kentucky,
Mm.
but my daughter was a patient at St. Jude in 2005, 2006. She was treated there for osteosarcoma. She had a bone cancer in her leg. So, what got me running, besides to quit smoking, was they have a fundraising program. It's the St. Jude Heroes.
Mm-hmm.
So you can fundraise for the hospital as a runner. So I say I'm not really a runner. I'm a fundraiser who happens to run.
There you go. Yeah. What was that like trying to fundraise? Was there a certain amount you had to get to or just whatever?
Yeah, you have commitment levels. So at the time we had committed for 500, which seemed like a really difficult amount to make. But that year we ended up over 1,000. And
Nice.
I've been a St. Jude hero ever since. Most of the races I run as a charity runner, and to date I've raised over $200,000.
Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah,
Congrats.
fundraising gets easier.
Really?
Yeah, it's amazing. I ran the New York Marathon this past fall as a charity runner for St. Jude, and my goal was $7,500. And you register for it, and you think that's a huge amount, and you're not sure how you're going to get it, but remarkably, it comes. You do little fundraisers, and people know what you're doing, and um, sometimes there's a windfall from I had a church donate a large amount this year, so you just got to have faith that that money's going to come.
Wow. So are you currently fundraising for anything?
I am. I'm
Okay.
going to do the rock and roll 10K next month. Yeah, and then I'm also running the 10K in Memphis in December.
Okay. Well, we'll put those links in the show notes, listeners, so that if you would like to donate, this is a great place to donate. So we'll put those
Oh, that would
links.
be awesome. Thank
Yeah.
you. Like I said, you never know where your blessing is going to come from.
Yeah, that's great. So after your half and your full, what happened then? Then what? Where did you go from there?
Um, I did it. I do the Memphis Marathon or Memphis Marathon weekend every year at some distance, and I did the half marathon for quite a number of years.
Okay.
And I've dropped down now to the 10Ks and 5Ks, but I did the Marine Corps Marathon in 2010, and I had always been doing intervals. And my intervals back then, I didn't know anything about Jeff Galloway or anything. So
Hmm.
my intervals were I would run a song and walk a song.
Oh,
So I had this crazy playlist, and it had some songs that were like 7 minutes long and some that were 2 minutes long. And I never knew which one was coming up. So I didn't know if I would have a walking break of 7 minutes or I'd be running for 7 minutes.
oh, wow.
So just whatever song came on, that's what I would do. That was back when running was a lot easier.
Well, yeah. We can all say that about the past. So now you are a Galloway girl. So what is your ratio that you do now?
Well, sometimes I do 1 minute to 1 minute, and
Oh,
I've really never done the magic mile.
me
So I
neither.
have like a modified Galloway, but I would do 1 minute and 1 minute. And when I did the New York Marathon, my interval was actually 30 seconds and to run and 130 to walk.
Okay.
So I did that for 6 hours and 37 minutes, which
Okay.
is crazy when you think like that's 2 minutes, two
Yeah.
minutes over that 6 hours. And it's crazy.
Yeah. But you finished, so that's
I
really all that
finished, yeah.
matters.
I
Yeah.
was really surprised too. You hear so much about if you walk, you're not a runner,
Yeah.
but there were so many people doing intervals.
Yep.
It was amazing. It was so good to see.
Yeah.
I think people are afraid to get out and run, especially, I'm 58, especially at my age. They're afraid that they're going to hurt something, and you can. But
Absolutely.
when you do the walk run, and it helps prevent the injuries, and
Mhm.
to do the walk run versus not getting out there at all, you need to get out and do it and try it. People
Absolutely.
say, if I walk a marathon, what's going to happen? And I say, there's no marathon police that are come out and pull you from the course.
Right. Yeah. What's going to happen is you're probably going to finish and you're going to be
Right.
happy.
Yep.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
uninjured.
And uninjured. Yeah. I feel like the elites, yeah, and I used to only run a marathon. I never did a walk run. Um, and I am still almost as fast when I'm not injured as I was previously,
Right.
even doing the walk run. And I'm not an elite. What do I care if I walk sometimes? Even at least walking through the aid stations so you make sure you're fully
For
hydrated,
sure.
because I don't know about you,
Well,
but I can't run and
even,
drink.
yeah. Well, even elites walk through aid stations.
Yeah, some of them do, yeah.
Some, yeah.
Hmm.
I belong to a run club here in town, and they're all mostly, there's a few people that are my age and they're just incredible runners, but for the most part, they're a lot younger.
Yeah. Yeah. But, hey, we're still out there and I think that counts.
That's right.
Yeah.
I'll go on. They have a Tuesday night run. It's the Ignite Runners Collective. And they're just the most amazing group. They just embrace all, even slow me, but they'll go out and they'll do 4 miles, and I'll do part of it and go back to the beginning, and I'm finishing my 2.5 miles and they're done with their 4.
Yeah. That's okay.
One of those girls, she said, "Oh, you can run the whole way. You just need to run a little slower." So I said, "Okay." And like you said, that your run walk is the same as your run. I did a mile, and it was the same speed as my run walk. So,
Hmm.
and I was exhausted.
Yeah.
So why not run walk?
Yeah. Yeah. I always feel better. So you were telling me a story, and I wanted to cut you off before we started recording so that you could tell it on the air. So tell us about the time that you ran the New York Marathon virtually.
Oh my gosh. Well, I was registered in 2020 to run the New York Marathon, and the I ran as a charity runner for St. Jude, and all that the picking the runners for the team happened before COVID started. So it was up in the air. It was in November. Was it going to be live? Was it going to be virtual? And I thought, well, I'll just keep training and just see what happens. So, of course, it went virtual, and I just kept training. And on the day of the marathon, I ran 6 or 5 loops around my hometown, and my friends had signs every lap for a different borough.
That's
And
so
they
cool.
they some ran with me, some biked with me. They had donuts and hot chocolate. So it was a kind of an exciting event, but it wasn't New York City. So this past year I said I just want to get to the starting line. And about 4 months after I ran the virtual, I was diagnosed with an autoimmune disease, and I could barely get dressed. I had to have help to put my bra on, and it was not a very good time. I lost a whole lot of weight, but I was in pretty bad shape. So 2 years of prednisone, and I kind of came out of it. I still suffer a little bit, but nothing like I was. But it's called polymyalgia rheumatica,
Hmm.
and it affects your large joints, your shoulders, and your hips. So I think I might have had it for a long time, but didn't notice because I'm so active and just thought that's how you feel when you're old and you're active.
Sure.
So I trained for the New York Marathon last year, and it was the most amazing event, and it was the perfect day. It was warm but not too warm, and it was sunny, and it was just gorgeous. And I was able to run walk the marathon. I finished it in 6 hours and 37 minutes. And it was
Nice.
just the best experience. And just to top off that, I just had to do it, just to
Yeah.
cross my T and get it done.
Yeah. I really like the fact that your friends came out and held up those signs.
Yeah,
Those are good friends. Those
they're
are
great friends. That's the running community.
yeah, that's really great. So what other fantastic events have you done or had little friends that have pitched in and helped you get through things? What type of other things have you done?
Oh, I host some running events too as
Oh,
fundraisers for St. Jude. I've had a 5K in town, and I've had a lot of support with that and sponsors. And then this past year on National Running Day, we did a Hawaiian themed run where I encouraged everyone to show up in their Hawaiian skirts, and we had pineapples for treats and water, and they just came and they gave donations so they could run dressed up in grass skirts.
that's
And then we
awesome.
yeah, we also had a relay where people just formed teams and then tried to see how many laps they could do around the park in an hour and a half, and then we had awards for them, and that was also a fundraiser.
Oh, that's really cool. Wow, that's pretty creative too.
Yeah. Well, I always say stick with what you know when it comes to fundraising.
Okay. Yeah, and running is what you know.
Yep. I did the San Diego rock and roll. That was a bit of a surprise because I'm an East Coast girl, and
Okay.
when I get on the coast, it's flat. And
Oh,
I had
yeah.
never been to California, and it was anything but. So that I wasn't quite ready for that one.
Okay. Yeah. Do you enjoy running hills though, in spite of that?
I do,
Me
and
too.
I never did before, but I did the Bourbon Chase. Are you familiar with that, Ragnar?
I've heard of it, but just
Yeah, it
barely.
it goes through Kentucky, and it starts at Jim Beam's distillery, and it goes like to all these distilleries and ends up in Lexington with a big party. And I did that, and it was very hilly, and I started liking to run uphill to
Yeah.
and that's kind of bizarre. But funny story about that one, Carla, is my daughter's roommate had a team for the Bourbon Chase, and somebody dropped out about 2 weeks before the race. And she said, well, my mom's always trained and ready, so maybe she would like to join your team. So she called me and asked me if I wanted to join the team. And I said, well, of course.
Yeah.
So after work, I drove to Kentucky and I met up with 12 strangers
Yeah.
to do this race. And I pulled up to the house, and the owner of the house was there, but nobody else was there. And he said, well, what are you doing here? And I said, well, I'm meeting my friends. We're doing the Bourbon Chase. And he said, well, what's the name of your friend? And I didn't have any idea. So he was very suspicious, and he made me leave until everybody else showed up.
That's funny. But within an hour, they were like your best friends, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. You can't spend 24 hours in a van with strangers and not have them as best friends in the
Right.
end.
Have you done more Ragnars since then?
We have one I live in Ross County, Ohio,
Hmm.
and it's called the Buck 50, and it's a 150-mile run through the county, and it supports the drug free America
Hmm.
kids, and yeah, it's so fun. And it's nice that it's here because we can practice our legs.
Oh,
But
yeah.
this will be the third year. That's next month too. This will be the third year I've done it, and I've actually had a team last year and this year, and we're the St. Jude Heroes, and we bring um, awareness to childhood cancer with the team.
Wow. That's great. Yeah, that sounds like fun. I've never done a Ragnar. I have done like a group run, at a race where you do just run a leg of it. But I mean, we all were just waiting at the little zone when you come
Oh,
back through. It was a 10K. Was the loop was a 10K, and I think we did it as a 50K or something, and we each just ran a loop. But
wow.
yeah, it was, and so they did it by age. So our group was like the third oldest of the, when they added up all our ages, and we did really well for being so old. But yeah, that was first time, and I did it just because somebody had dropped out, and I'm like, yeah, I'll do it. I can run a
Right.
10K.
Yeah.
I'm not super fast, but that was my PR for a 10K that day for whatever reason. I got a little fire lit under me, I guess, but
Oh, because the environment. Yeah.
probably yeah.
Well, the first team that I ran on with the buck 50, I got booted off of because the next year I wasn't fast enough for them.
Oh, okay.
That's okay. I made
Yeah,
my own team.
that's right. Do
You
your
know,
own
some
thing.
people get really competitive.
Yeah, but still, I mean, to boot somebody off,
Yeah.
you know.
Well, I feel like with running and as we age and our abilities change, we're only competing against ourselves.
I agree. I know I am. I do look at my age group and like what the finishers did in my age group the prior year, just to see if I might have a chance to podium if I, get a little fast for that race. But sometimes I look and I go, yeah, no, I can't keep up with them ladies. They're clearly in another league.
The winner of the 60 plus age group this of the race I did this morning, she finished in 30 minutes and I think 23 seconds. She was 73.
Wow.
I will never get there
I'll never say
again.
never, but
Well,
I
I
get
would
it.
I would like to beat 40 now in my 5K. So,
Yeah. Yeah, 5Ks are hard. If I'm gonna do a 5K, usually it's to push, to be a team push for Ainsley's Angels, so the
mhm.
people in the strollers. Then I'll do a 5K. I don't like 5Ks because of that fast nature. For my if I'm trying to do it other than for to push someone else. But yeah, because I'm just not fast. Even though it still might be fast for me, I'm probably bringing up the rear with somebody else. With several people ahead of me. But I do enjoy that. Pushing for them, and we still try to, I still try to run as fast as I can, but
Mhm.
it's tough though to push those strollers. What's good training? So
Yeah.
I try to do it for that, but and give
What's
them a
your favorite
chance.
distance?
I like the marathon. Yeah, and I do. I've only done one 100 miler,
Oh
but I
god.
do like the longer distances. Because you're not really expected to be fast. You just have to have
Yeah.
endurance, and I have endurance. I'm just not super fast. So.
I have a friend and he does ultras,
Hmm.
and he said, "Well, you need to do an ultra." And I said, "Why?" And he said, "Because they encourage you to walk." He says,
Hmm.
you don't have to be fast. You just need to cover the land."
Yeah. Yeah, I
So,
hired a coach for mine because I had never run a 100 miler before. And so that he's the one that got me into the walk run, right? I had never done a walk run before that. And he said, "Well, you're going to need to for this." And I went, "Oh, all right."
mhm,
So he put me on a specific, walk now, run thing. And that's after that is when I got into the Galloway method of doing the walk run, because I went, this is fantastic. I covered,
mhm.
100 miles and I feel okay. So that's what got me into it. So
Yeah.
yeah, it was good.
What are your intervals?
I typically do a 3:15 run and a 30-second walk. And I used to do a 5-minute run and a 30-second walk, but I had Jeff Galloway on the program and was asking him, because I was training, I think, at that time for my 100 miler. And he was saying, most people run less the longer distances, right?
Mhm.
And he suggested trying like a 30-30 for my marathon. Well, I tried that didn't work. And he had said, just keep playing with the numbers. And so I got up to where 3:15 was about the shortest distance time that I could
Mhm.
run and not feel like, okay, I just stopped again, so that
Right.
worked out well for me. So I kind of stick with that. And I still can do 5 minutes. I still can actually run longer and not have to stop, but I want to stop because I know that I feel so much better at the end. Like after a marathon, I can go, for somewhere I can go sightseeing and walk all the rest of the day. I can
Yeah.
walk the next day up steps, and I'm just not as sore. So I just keep doing it. I mean, why not?
Yep.
Like you said, there's no marathon police out there telling me I can't.
Right. Well, after I did this in New York, I've had plantar fasciitis ever since, and I could not walk. Like it was like 26.2 miles. It's done, and now I can't even walk.
Mm.
And I'm still struggling with it. Today was a little bit better with my run,
Mm-hmm.
but I think I've run twice since November.
Oh no. Wow. Well, we'll talk the PT for that afterwards because
Okay.
I have some great advice from my PT that I had for mine. So
Wonderful.
yeah, we'll talk after about that. So what was it like for you since you started, like before there were watches? And I think, goo wasn't a big thing. Even I've been running now for 11 years. But it was like a few years in before like goo started becoming
Yeah.
in and all the different types of drinks there are besides Gatorade. What was that like for you getting on board with all that?
Oh,
Or don't you?
um, I like when I run really long distances, I'll use I'll try and have something every hour
Mm-hmm.
because I mean, even if you're not very fast, I don't know. I just think they say, oh, if you don't go so many miles, then you don't need anything to drink. But I think if you're slow, you still need it. It's still going by.
Absolutely.
So I try and take something every hour. Now, like back in the day when we didn't have the goos, I might take a cookie or something like wrapped in a sandwich bag. And I was never real like crazy nutrition wise, like doing the right nutrition. It was just get some extra energy. And we lived in the country. So I had going around the block was 7 miles.
Wow.
So I would take a couple cookies in a sandwich bag and I would tuck it. I had belts. They called me belt girl because I would have a belt for my water. I'd have a belt to hold my phone. I'd have a belt for something else. I had all the belts. And now you got like the nice pockets in your pants. So
Right.
I wore the other day when I went running, I wore an old pair of pants and I didn't have pockets in them and I didn't take anything to put anything in. So I'm carrying my phone and I'm carrying my water bottle and I had my little gym boss for my timer. I didn't have enough hands to carry everything that I was holding.
Oh man. That would make me crazy. I don't like to hold things in my hands when I run. I would have had to gone back home and found a belt or something. Yeah. So is there a particular drink that you drink now and or do you still just use cookies and water or what do you do
Oh
now?
no, I kind of I'm all over the place. I'll do noon. I like sales. I'll do some noon. I'll do some Propel,
Yeah.
the um, little powder packs.
Yeah, yeah.
I'll use those. Just whatever's on sale and I can get a good deal on. Or I went to a Christmas party this year and it was for a runners group, and I got a packet of nutrition and electrolytes was what my pack. In what is it? The Chinese auction.
Oh, I don't never
Where
heard of that.
Oh,
That's
it's where
great.
you pull a number and then you grab a bag
Oh,
and then you
cool.
can steal other people's bags.
I've
Well,
never
I got
heard
a
of it.
bag of nutrition. So when I did the New York Marathon, I wrote little inspirational notes on everything of goo. It was like, you got
Oh.
this, keep going. So that was not an original idea. I got it off Pinterest.
Oh, well, hey, whatever. I never heard of it, so it's original for me. That's great. So what do you have coming up, you said?
In about a month from today is the buck 50 for this year.
Okay.
And then the end of April, I'm doing the Nashville Rock and Roll
Mm-hmm.
as the St. Jude Hero. And then I just have some little 5Ks going on, and I'm doing the 10K at the Memphis Marathon in December, marathon
Okay.
weekend.
Okay. And are those the other races? Are they halves, fulls, 10Ks? What are the ones that are coming up? The other ones?
Um, there's a 10K.
Okay. That your distance? Is that the one you
Well,
like?
I think it's my new marathon.
Okay.
I've got one more marathon in me, though. I turn 60 next year, so I think I'm going to try for Chicago as a St. Jude Hero.
Oh, great. Great. Now, is that a team or is that you do it by yourself and then get on their team? Is that how that works?
They have so many charity spots for St. Jude.
Mm-hmm. And how much do you
So
have to raise for them?
it varies from race to race.
Oh,
For New York was $7,500, and for Nashville it's 5,000. There's other levels,
mm-hmm.
but those are the highest levels, and they will like I call them the Girl Scout perks. You know, when you sold the Girl Scout cookies, and if you sold so many boxes, you got a prize.
Right.
So if you raise the money, they'll give you a hotel right at
Oh,
the
wow.
like. They're obviously New York wasn't close to the start finish line, but you get a hotel for 2 or 3 nights depending on how much you raise, and
Wow.
um, if you are at the top level, they'll give you points for airfare too if you need to travel. So it's a amazing program, and they also have charity spots in all of the world majors, including Sydney.
Wow.
So if you want to be a charity runner, if you want to have a guaranteed entry and you want to raise a little money for a good cause, you could look into that.
Yeah. Are you gonna, well, you said you're only doing one more marathon, but would you do the other majors? I mean, is that something that you could be persuaded to do?
Oh, I don't know.
Okay.
I don't think so.
Really? Because I mean, you've done New York, and if you do Chicago, then you just have Boston on state side, right? I
Right.
mean, and then do some more.
No, I
No?
think that ship has sailed for me.
Okay. All right. Oh, do you have any other words of wisdom that you'd like to share with the other runners out there? I mean, you're a very good proponent for fundraising as well as the run walk, but is there anything else that you'd like people to know about you or that you'd like to share with the audience?
Oh, I do trail runs,
Oh,
and there's an organization out of Florida. They're called Run Fluent, and they do trail runs in Ohio, and they do trail runs in Florida. One thing that they say before the start of every race is, "Someday I won't be able to do this, but today is not that day."
yeah.
So, it get out and do what you can, because someday you're not going to be able to. And if that just means running down your street or run walking down your street, that's a place to start. And you're never too old to get started.
Oh, that's beautiful. And that means a lot to you, I can tell. Yeah. Yeah, that's really great.
Well, I know so many people who don't have they either haven't survived to this point, or they're sick and they can't get out and do it. And it's a real blessing, and it's an honor to be able to get out and do what we do, and run walk, and participate in events and fundraise, where we have to do it to honor those that can't.
Absolutely. Well, I don't think sweeter words have ever been spoken on this program. So thank you so much for that.
Thank
Thank you
you.
so much for being here, Jamie. I've really appreciated getting to know you and hearing your story. It's been great.
Oh, well, thank you so much for having me. I've really enjoyed it.
My pleasure. Have a great day. Bye bye. All right. Well, thanks for listening to the episode. I hope you enjoyed it. Please continue to follow, share, and rate the program. If you're needing that coach, reach out to me. There's a button in the show notes that you can contact me directly. Share it with a friend if you think their story needs to be on the podcast. I'd love to hear from them. So thanks again and have a great day.